I really love 3D printing. It gives you so many tools that you can use to be creative. In this case, I've designed and printed a candle holder, and I've also designed and printed a mold box for this to go in, so that I can create new versions of this using different materials like resin or even concrete. I'm not going to jump too deep into the 3D design aspect of creating the mold box or the actual candle holder. This video is more going to focus on once you've got that created and then moving into creating the silicone mold. If you go and check out some of my YouTube shorts, you'll see that I played around with a smaller version of a candle holder, sort of a tea-like candle, and from there I took some learnings on how to do this on this bigger scale. So essentially I've just got the design here, and that should work quite well. On my smaller ones I didn't have a solid base, and I had it so that the 3D print sort of poked through. Now on this design, just to give me a little bit more leeway, I'm going to be sticking what you see, the black printed piece here, the candle holder, directly onto the base, and it's lifted up a little bit to give me some additional silicone on the bottom. When I originally looked to see how I could stick my 3D printed candle holder down onto the mold, I was thinking, maybe I could just use some double-sided tape, but that didn't work really well. So sometimes the simple answers are things like hot glue guns. I bought some new silicone and I had 500 grams, so 250 of A and 250 grams of B, which you effectively add together. Now I did some calculations and that should be enough from the calculations I did. However, I was a little bit short, so just stay tuned and I'll show you a bit of a trick to bring that level up a bit. Now I didn't have it in the video, but what you'll see on the mold box there is some green painter's tape, so just put that around the joins just as a little bit of extra protection in case some of the silicone tried to escape. So about now was where I realised I probably wouldn't have enough silicone, and so I got an old silicone mould, and if you manage to cut up an old mould that you no longer need, you can put bits of silicone in to then bulk out that silicone that you've poured and hopefully get the right levels that you're intentionally after. About 24 hours, that mould was now ready to come out, and needed just a little bit of persuasion with the hammer and screwdriver here to get that apart. I didn't use any mould release on this, and it wasn't too bad to come off. However, I discovered why people separate the centerpiece, and they normally sort of screw it to an attachment which then sits on the outside of the box, and that's because effectively I had to break those arms off to be able to get that centerpiece out. And as far as leaks, then I was pretty successful there. No real leaks from this one, so I'll take that win. With silicone rubber you can get different elasticity, that's the proper word for it, for your rubber and how much it stretches. The silicone I used here is what they class as a 30, so it's kind of a medium stretch. You can get from 10, which is really stretchy, and then it kind of goes up from there. 20 is in between, and then 30 here is quite tough, but then it keeps it nice and rigid so that when you're making your copies that they keep the shape. So let's do a bit of a recap on where we're at. So firstly, I designed and printed this 3D candle holder here. Secondly, I created a mold box for it to go in. And then thirdly, I created a mold using silicone rubber. And now I'm on to the last stage of creating a copy of this by using some aqua resin. Aqua resin is kind of a gypsum resin based product. I really want to try just concrete and see how that goes. The problem with aqua resin is it seems to be a pretty good product, however it's pretty expensive. So same thing with other products like jasmonite, which is another one I looked at, just really expensive to get here in New Zealand. So I think concrete can probably be that one which gives good bang for your buck, but I have to experiment with that and see how it goes. To make this aqua resin, essentially you have the kind of gypsum-like powder, you then have the liquid, which is a resin-like substance, and then I'm adding some oxide here, so 10% of the volume in oxide, and that's going to give me my mix. Now the ratio between powder to the liquid, I used a 3.2 to 1 ratio. I had earlier tried just 3 to 1 and it just wasn't quite correct, but doing the 3.2 to 1 seemed to work out a lot better. Another thing I learnt while using aqua resin is that you kind of do your powder first. So I've got the oxide and the gypsum, so I'll be mixing that, and then you add your liquid to it. I guess it's like a coffee, depending whether you put the hot water in first and then the espresso, or the espresso and the hot water. You get different things, and it seems to be that this works best when you put the powder and then add the liquid to it. Moment of truth, and this is now pouring the aqua resin into the mold. I did find that the opening for the mold was a bit hard to get the aqua resin into, because there wasn't much room from the bottom of the mold through to those sides there, so I sort of had to tap around and jiggle it a bit to try to get some of that aqua resin all the way to the bottom, which effectively becomes the top of the candle. Right, it's time to demold, and there's actually been sitting around for a few days because it's just been a bit of a busy time at the moment. Now, I'm thinking I might have to cut some of this because it might be a bit hard to get this out of the mold, but I don't know, give it a go and see if we can get it out without breaking it.
Actually, might be able to get one corner over. Maybe it's okay. Oh no, might be okay. I've scratched it. Right, so I got it out, but obviously in the process there, scratched it up a bit. That's come out pretty cool. I've got a few air bubbles here. That's not that great. I think I could probably fill this in again if I put some more eco resin, but at this moment it's pretty good. I put a bit of a sealer on here, so I'm not sure what sealer, but probably don't want the wax soaking in too, so maybe I'll do some acrylic. So I've got a couple of options to seal it. I've got this acrylic clear as one option. Cool. I've also got this food safe wax, so that could be another option. What I might do is just try this on a small one here and see how it turns out. Now I think these resin ones, they don't need to be sealed because they are already non-porous. So these three are okay. I need to do this now. I might do this one, give it a spray, and then we can sort of have a look to see, you know, is it better to do the wax or the spray? I think it might be better to do the spray because if we're going to put candle wax in here, you're already putting wax, so maybe the spray will give you that protection layer. Alright, so I think the main thing is to get the inside, because then that will seal it from the candle wax. Right, now we'll just let those dry.
Now if you hung around this long, thanks very much for sticking around and watching this, I guess, end-to-end process. If you like things like this, I do things with art and resin, 3D prints, different mixed media, so hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you like what you see so far. Never made a candle before, so I'm definitely going to break all the candle making rules. I got this candle making kit from Kmart, so it has some soy wax and also the fragrance. So I'm just sort of following the directions from Kmart. I know I've seen others who've used the Kmart kind of kits before, and all the professional candle makers have definitely said, no, you're doing it wrong. So anyway, we'll try it in the microwave for 2 minutes to melt the 100 or so grams of soy wax that I've got. I was pretty impressed. It mounted quite well, and then it was in with the fragrance. So I went to a website to work out how much soy wax to fragrance to add, and it said about 10 to 15 grams. These bottles are 10 grams, so I just added the whole bottle. There's a sandalwood fragrance, so it'd be interesting to see how that comes out. The Kmart I went to didn't have the kind of popsicle sticks with the holes in, so being someone who has a 3D printer, it was pretty simple to quickly design a stick with a hole, and I printed these out to do the same job essentially. And all this does is really just keep that wick upright, so when you pour the candle wax into these containers, that you can maintain that candle wick kind of in the center and then standing up. I'm not actually sure the importance of getting that candle wick in the center, but I am aware that candles do have a bit of a memory, so when you light a candle it's best to burn it first off, so it kind of burns and melts that top layer, because next time you do it, it's going to kind of do the same. It will repeat, is my understanding. I'm sure if you're a candle maker, you can let me know in the comments how that actually works. That would be fantastic and interesting to know. I had to make a second batch for my larger terracotta coloured candle. That one actually was closer to about 250 grams of the unmelted wax, so I had to mount that, and then the calculations was more around the 15 to 20 grams of fragrance. So I used frangipani and also fig as those fragrances. I'm thinking those two should mix well together and give a nice aroma. I guess I only have to wait and see when we light the candle. It's the next day and candles are all set, so just need to take these stick holders off. Right, some of them are about the middle. Oh, you can see this one's actually left a mark where it's wicked up the from the stick. Gone and stolen my wife's candle wick cutters, and probably go and break another candle rule here, but I think it's kind of about here odd that you cut it. Candle, I'm sure there's actually some proper measurement, but give that a go. So that's come out pretty good. As you can see, I put the clear coat on and that hid those scratches that were there before. Quite like how that's come up. Obviously underneath we had those couple of air bubbles, and I think you could fix it post taking this out, but it's got to be on the bottom so no one's even going to see them, so I think that's pretty cool. That's quite a lot of candle there. Just give it a smell test. Yeah, and I can smell the fragrance there as well, so hopefully that was the right temperature that I put the fragrance in at.